Let's talk a little bit about C. Wright Mills's idea of the sociological imagination and try to get an understanding of how that can help frame our thinking about sociology and social topics and why it was influential in the discipline of sociology. First, we need to understand a little bit of context of what was going on in the academic discipline of sociology at this time. Really, there was two camps that existed within the academic discipline. One camp was the group of people that believed that they could learn everything they needed to know about society by studying individuals and their behavior. The opposite camp believed that they didn't need to study individuals at all, that they could learn everything they needed to know about society by studying social forces and institutions within a society. And that was a pretty heated debate, as heated as academic debates can get. And it really had the discipline kind of divided. You fell in one camp or the other, and your research was in line with one camp or the other. You either studied individuals or you studied social forces. You were either sort of doing microanalysis or you were doing macroanalysis. And then Mills comes out and writes this book, The Sociological Imagination, in 1959. In really simplistic terms, he sort of gets on a soapbox and says, hey, we have to stop this. We have to stop the debate. Both of you are basically wrong, and both of you are basically right at the same time. The answer is that we have to study both, that we can't possibly learn anything about society unless we study both the individual and social institutions and social forces. So just some quick quotes I'm going to read from the Sociological Imagination. This one is on page 3. Quote, "Neither the life of an individual nor the history of a society can be understood without understanding both. Yet men do not usually define the troubles they endure in terms of historical change and institutional contradiction. The well-being they enjoy, they do not usually impute to the big ups and downs of the societies in which they live." So he says we can't understand a society unless we understand an individual and the history of society. And this sort of idea that men don't usually attribute their success or failure to society overall. Usually they blame largely intrinsic factors. And he said, we really should stop doing that. We really need to understand that society does impact our behavior. On to page 5, quote, "The sociological imagination enables its possessor to understand the larger historical scene in terms of its meaning for the inner life and the external career of a variety of individuals. It enables him to take into account how individuals, in the welter of their daily experience, often become falsely conscious of their social positions. Within that welter, the framework of modern society is sought, and within that framework, the psychologies of a variety of men and women are formulated. By such means, the personal uneasiness of individuals is focused upon explicit troubles, and the indifference of publics is transformed into involvement with public issues." Keep these two terms in mind, troubles and issues. The first fruit of this imagination and the first lesson of the social science that embodies it, sociology, is the idea that the individual can understand his own experience and gauge his own fate only by locating himself within his period, and that he can know his own chances in life only by becoming aware of those of all individuals in his circumstances. The sociological imagination enables us to grasp history and biography and the relations between the two within society, unquote. Let me find another quote here where he gives us some really good examples of how to apply these ideas. Going back to those trouble or issue, those two terms. He says, quote, "In these terms, consider unemployment. When in a city of 100,000, only one man is unemployed, that is his personal trouble. And for its relief, we properly look to the character of the man, his skills, and his immediate opportunities. But when in a nation of 50 million employees, 15 million men are unemployed, that is an issue, and we may not hope to find its solution within the range of opportunities open to any individual." The very structure of opportunities has collapsed. Both the correct statement of the problem and the range of possible solutions require us to consider the economic and political institutions of the society, and not merely the personal situation and character of a scatter of individuals. And he continues, consider war. The personal problem of war, when it occurs, may be how to survive it, or how to die in it with honor, how to make money out of it, how to climb into higher safety of the military apparatus, or how to continue to the war's termination. In short, according to one's values, to find a set of milieu, and within it to survive the war or make one's death in it meaningful. But the structural issues of war have to do with its causes and what types of men it throws up into command, with its effects upon economic and political family and religious institutions, with the unorganized and irresponsibility of a world of nation states, unquote. So we have troubles and we have issues. We have individual troubles and we have social issues. And Mills says we cannot begin to understand society until we understand both. So this is key. And how this impacted sort of the debate that was going on in the academic discipline, because Mills was so influential and so prominent in the discipline, surprisingly, most academics of the time read the Sociological Imagination and came to the conclusion, wow, he's right. C. Wright Mills is correct. And they sort of abandoned this debate and sort of adopted the Sociological Imagination and realized that we couldn't possibly do a service to our research unless we were considering both individuals and social forces, both troubles and both issues. So this became hugely influential in the academic discipline and contributed to the growth and expansion of the discipline, and I would argue had a drastic impact on the quality of research that was being done and the understandings of society that we gained at the time. So we will try to adopt the sociological imagination throughout the semester as we talk about different topics throughout. So keep in mind, you'll also hear this referred to as the sociological perspective. You'll see that in certain textbooks. Same thing, those are used interchangeably, sociological perspective and sociological imagination.